This is AI Marketing Experts, where bold marketers and next-gen AI collide. Each week, join us as we decode trends, test tools, and share real wins from the AI-powered front lines. No fluff, no hype, just straight talk and smarter marketing. Tap subscribe, and let's geek out on AI.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the AI Marketing Experts Podcast. We got a little bit of a smaller crowd with us today in the panel. We've got some of our other friends traveling around the world, literally. Iceland and Bahamas, was it? So
It was the
yeah,
Bahamas, yeah.
yeah. So lucky them. But yeah, you guys got us, and we are going to have another, in-depth, exciting conversation about the week in AI and how it relates to local businesses and us as agency owners and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, you got John Clendenning here, Carpet Glitter Marketing Masters, and we've got Chris and Jen with us, and we're just gonna jump right into it. We were talking a little bit before we fired up about some of the changes going on. So I'll hand it over to Chris to talk about sort of the big news in the room right now. You guys will be watching this maybe later on or whatever, but the big news in the room right now is some recent updates. So that's enough of a teaser. What are we talking about, Chris?
All right. So the big elephant in the room is ChatGPT, or OpenAI really released their version 5, finally, quote unquote, right? They've been working on it for 2 years, apparently. And they released it. It honestly was kind of a quiet release. We knew that it was coming. I'd seen the rumors about it coming, but until it actually is like drops and you just never know, right? And the interesting part is that I was working heavily yesterday inside of a platform called CloseBot. We're building out some automations and AI stuff with that platform, but man, it was hanging big time yesterday. And additionally, inside of our own software, my writers were like, "Hey, nothing is working. What's going on?" Kind of a thing. So I think that with that rollout with GPT-5, it wasn't just like a, "Hey, we're adding this" kind of a thing. It was like breaking systems, big systems. And I saw in the news, just looking through all of that, is that there were big things that were breaking left and right all over the place, right? And so I don't, that seems like a misstep to me on OpenAI's standpoint. And I don't know if they were shutting servers down and turning them back on. I haven't seen in the news exactly what happened yesterday, but that was very, very interesting on how that was all kind of being rolled out, kind of a thing.
Well, just even on a compute for just a quick second, just so good friend of ours, good friend of the show, a fellow by the name of Brian, runs a great agency. He's in the process of buying a Jetson, so a NVIDIA Jetson AI node for his office, right, to go into the server room, and that node. They're a couple like $4,000 or $5,000, something like that, and you can get add-ons to them and stuff like that. But that's what ran ChatGPT. That is the size of compute power that ran ChatGPT when it first rolled out, like not quite 3 years ago, to everybody in the background. Now we know that we're talking server farms and, do you need a small size nuclear power plant beside it, and, the cooling systems and the amount of power because of like just the massive adoption. So yeah, if this is a bigger compute power, GPT-5, and the world is, leaps and bounds the fastest adopted technology in human history. That's why we keep saying it's changing everything, because it's just being adopted faster than cell phones, faster than the wheel and fire and industrial revolution,
the internet,
and all those things.
Yeah,
the internet, right? So how can they keep up without this better power, more compute? Like even Elon's talking about raising hundreds of billions of dollars to build the next biggest data center that just blows everybody else away. And anyway, so I think that's part of it. Anytime something like this comes out, we literally break the internet, because it's like it's too many people hitting the same thing at the same time.
Well, did y'all even notice that right before GPT-5 was released yesterday, like the day before, maybe over the weekend, I don't remember exactly, but the open source versions of 4.0
Hmm.
was released, right? And
Oh
one of
no.
them supposedly, and I've been seeing a few things on like YouTube and stuff like that. People, sharing that out, but one of them small enough that you can fit on your laptop, basically, as
Yeah.
and have your own personal, gated to you version of ChatGPT 4.0, right?
Hmm.
So, which is interesting, but then in my opinion limited, right? Because
Hmm.
it can do certain things, but it acts as an LLM, I would think. But what about all this other stuff that you're able to do nowadays with it? But anyways, I don't know if you saw
Yeah.
that was really interesting when that came out, and then all of a sudden GPT-5 showed up, yesterday,
Yeah.
just during normal business hours, right?
Yeah.
I
What do
didn't
you
get it
think of this,
yesterday.
Jen? What was your first impression?
Well, I didn't get it yesterday. I had my head down working in Claude yesterday, like all day, and so I just started playing with it this morning, and so I haven't had the chance to. I don't have an opinion on it yet because I haven't
Fair enough.
really gotten into it too much.
Yeah. And
So
I'm
speaking
Canadian,
of
so we haven't
Claude,
gotten it yet at all. So, anyways, that was just, I am still looking at the old version right now. I
yes.
pulled it up to see if I got it yet. So,
Yeah. Sorry. Y'all are the redheaded stepchildren. Sorry about that.
so, well, one of
Sorry.
the things is we don't have like again, we've got different technical levels on this show. People watching that are just oh, okay. I need to write a better email, all the way up to yeah, I need to run a node in my own office and maybe keep my data secure. Like as you're saying, maybe why would you do four if five is out? Well, maybe if you wanted an internal and you had very specific workflows that it can handle. So no need for Excel anymore. Have it build spreadsheets. Have it listen to phone calls and run a sales training script or sales training diagnosis in the background and give you better call handling support and things like that. There's reasons why companies might want to take it in-house and not have it open to the world, which is always a know your LLM because know what
Mhm.
data you're feeding into it, who's getting that data, right? So, and things like that. So there might be a reason for that, but yeah, GPT-5 basically seems to be the prices cheaper that we were just discussing ahead of time. We're looking at sort of the cost per compute, where again, if you have a plan that's $20 a month, it's not a thing. But if you're using the tool in the background inside workflows, then you get charged for every token, right? So yeah, you were digging into that a little bit, Chris. Sort of some of the other changes, like there's not all these other models, O3 and 4 mini, and it's sort of like 5, but with a few sort of extensions, I guess, or whatever they're calling them.
Yeah, and I think that kind of going to your point there where you're talking about it really comes down to a privacy issue because even using the API, right, you're still taking a risk because it is still sitting out there on the open internet, right? Which
Yeah.
anything can be hacked, and so therefore your information might be sitting out there. I mean, you never know, right? So, but if you bring it in house and completely have a gated version of ChatGPT that you and your employees can use and keep your clients' information. I could totally see that being as super useful for like HIPAA and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Like Jen, you would know more about that than I would, but I would imagine that that would be useful for the companies that you work with.
Yeah, yeah. You for anyone in the medical field or even I would say adjacent to the medical field, to be safe, you definitely don't want to be using the free version of
Mhm.
of any of the LLMs. Um, it's less of a big deal if you're just doing general things, but I don't know if you're like me, when you start doing something you start general and you go more focused, and then all of a sudden you're really into the details that could maybe get you in trouble.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Well, it's even like again, there is privacy is not a thing in our world right now, but you've still got to think about it a little bit. Like I had a subscription, and I think I still do actually, but to 23andMe. Well, then 23andMe went bankrupt. Then I got a card in the mail from the legal team that is like, hey, by the way, to make up the money, they're selling your data, right? Your genetic data to third parties because they got
Oh,
bought out chapter 11 or whatever, and that's part of their plan of how do we make money back. Well, we got all this data people want to buy, right? So it's not about what's happening now, it's what could happen. So, yeah, like you just got to make sure that you're kind of just being thoughtful. Is there anything that is so private you shouldn't put out there? And maybe that's where accountants and stuff like that should maybe eventually at some point be running, their own node or their own whatever, because all your financial data, if they're going to start using AI and you don't know it, because we know like things like QuickBooks and all that has starting to build it in, but how much of that is available that in 1, 2, 3, 5 years from now, a big hack or a data leak, and there's all your clients' credit card files or whatever, like, who knows what it is, or just, the history of your company that somebody can come back and extort you for. You know what I mean? So I'm in the
Yeah.
crypto world, and in crypto, if you promote the fact that you just, you just made, $10 million on a launch, blah 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 blah. And you post that on your social media, be ready to be like have somebody sneak into your house at gunpoint and say, "Hey, where's your private keys?" Or
Mm.
or your family and you are going to be unalived kind of idea, right?
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
yeah. So again, it's how far, like, where does this go, right? So it's just it's a whole new world, and we all as business owners need to be thinking we definitely need to use it. I've got a stat right here. Small businesses, 90% of US small businesses report saving at least 11 hours a week using AI tasks. So are you part of that 90%? With a net savings of $4,700 per month in freed up work. That's
Wow.
according to eMarketer, from July 27th, 2025 news release. So again, dig in where they got their data from. But if it's
Yeah.
90% of small businesses are using some form of AI and feeling in the surveys that it frees up about 11 hours a week and is basically a $4,700 a month value to either doing more or displacing, then like Deloitte and Touche, I think it was, or Dun and Bradstreet, or one of them came out there a month ago and said 300 million middle management jobs will be lost this year just due to AI. So,
Wow.
Wow.
yeah.
That's crazy. That's a
Yeah.
crazy stat right there,
300
honestly.
million. So yeah, so it's
300
like it wasn't just
million.
US. It was I assume that's 300 million because it's it's worldwide, but that's what it sounds like. But it's 300 million middle management jobs will be lost this year alone. So yeah, so again doom and gloom, but also the utopia side of it is, can you do more with less? Can you, like, that's what we always talk about, is can you just run faster than your competitors right now and stand out more? So
Yeah.
One thing I want to mention about like that some businesses are saving, did you say 11 hours a week or a month?
yeah, 11 hours a week.
A week. Um, you know, like we hear stats like that and we think, oh, that means that business owner has 11 hours more, in their week that they can do something with. When in reality, it was probably that they are finally able to have that thing that or those things done that they
Mhm.
weren't able to do before
Yeah.
because they didn't
Right.
have 11 hours available in a week. And so, not to say that I'm not implying that makes it less valuable. Probably actually
Yes.
makes it more valuable. But just, I don't know, just throwing it out there that's
Yeah.
not necessarily hours saved as much as
It's not
it's
more beach
Right.
time, is what you're saying.
no. It's just like those 200 things that I couldn't get to before.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Now I can get to some of them, and it would have taken
Yeah.
me 11 hours. And so now
Yeah.
that's being done. So,
Or they went from an 80-hour work week to a 70-hour work week, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's that's
yeah.
the other scenario is that most small business owners are we overwork ourselves here in America, and it just is what it is, right? I mean, and we have to do more with less, and that's really what AI is all about, is doing a heck of a lot more with less, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So So while on the topic of all these new things, and something quietly rolled out, I noticed. Okay, um, Opus 4.1,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
Literally a couple of days before five, and I wonder if GPT-5 was pushed forward by Sam there, just simply because Opus came out with their new version, or Claude Anthropic came out with their new version,
Yeah.
right? And I don't use Claude that much, but when I do, I look at the models and I'm like, hey, when did this come out? So I did a search on that. I mean, literally this morning, I was curious. Okay, I just used 4.1, you know, and I'm like, when did that come out? And literally days before GPT-5.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I find that interesting.
Yeah.
Absolutely interesting.
It definitely makes me wonder if they're, one-upping each other as quickly as possible and.
Now, this morning, because of all of this, I took two prompts, right? And I did the exact same thing. And I was basically having it do put together a marketing plan for marketing for. So we've got Samantha, that's our AI bot that is your sales receptionist, right? So I'm like, okay, I got to get this rolled out. This is again things that have been sitting on my plate for forever, right? So
Yep.
for 2 months now, we've been ready to release it to the world, and so I'm like, okay, tell me, let's outline a plan, and so I had GPT-5 do this, and then we not only did the plan, we also did landing page, right, for the offer, and then had it write some scripts that we were going to use to call out to our list, and just had a whole bunch of marketing materials that it created for me, right? So I'm like, okay, I know Claude sometimes is better at this kind of stuff. So I went to Claude. Okay.
Mhm.
And because I've given it my master prompt, it knows absolutely everything there is to know about me, down to my personality, down to, what I'm good and really bad at, and kind of all that kind of stuff. Right. But it also knows everything about my company because of this master prompt that I fed it. Well, went to 4.1, Opus 4.1, right. And had it do I took the same exact prompts.
Yep.
Honestly, I like Opus better. I like
Wow.
what it produced better, a lot better.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to be going with that version of this marketing campaign that we're rolling out to all of my clients and everyone in our database, and Facebook ads. I mean, I had it create the whole thing for me, and I just now have to give all those pieces to my team.
And you could also try that prompt. Remember, I mentioned that a few episodes ago. Go back if you guys haven't seen it. But one really neat way to prompt is to go into one LLM and say, "Well, that's weird. I got
Oh
this
yeah.
output by this other one, and
Yep.
it beat your pants off." And there is a little bit of gamesmanship that does seem to be written into the instructions because, oh no, 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 I can do better. And it's like fight them against each other to level up. So you may want to try that. Take your Opus one back into and say,
Oh
okay, these
yeah,
guys
that's true.
nailed it. Yeah, and see.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's
Yep.
awesome.
Yep. Speaking of different platforms coming out with different things, GenSpark has been launching some things too. They let's see, they're doing more with slides now, like
Mhm.
lots of templates there. Um, oh gosh, I'm for totally forgetting now, but things
Yeah.
things are happening. It seems like there's
Yeah.
just more being
100%.
released every day,
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
day. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but with the agents built in and
Mhm.
the browser, like with Perplexity, and
So,
lots and
so
lots.
one of the things that we like to say around here as well is like, so where you're at, pick your thing. Use it in your real life first, right? So just start with the easiest one you can put on your phone or whatever. Like I mean, I was literally sitting in the back sun porch the other day there, looked over across to the door into the house, and I mean, I've got an old bench that I got to get rid of, this old wooden thing that we had when the kids were around that kind of made sense for mitts and gloves and has no meaning anymore at all. And then I got because it's a bench and we don't use it. There's stuff sitting on top of it. I just took a picture. I said, "Can you clean this up for me?" Right? And ChatGPT, just as I'm sitting there, just hanging out, with a tea and a book, and it draws a picture with all of that garbage gone and nice and clean. I'm going, wow, yeah. Oh, that'll look so much better, right? Gives me inspiration to want to just move everything out and get rid of it. And I said, what should I put there? Just look at it. Oh, like, here's the rest of the room. Design aesthetic. Well, what should I do there? And it came back with a bunch of different suggestions and asked me questions, right? And would you like this style or that? I see you have this over here and all that. And eventually we kind of nailed down a couple of things. It took all of like what 2 minutes. And I said, yeah, let's go with a metal art on the wall that's sort of a, you know, outdoor theme or something like that. And I like your idea of a trunk, a chest that we can put stuff in, but a seat on top of it so it could be dual purpose and just nice and clean. Drew the picture. I sent it to my sister, who is an interior designer, and said, "What do you think?" She goes, "Oh, did you do that? Is that already updated?" Because it looked like it looked like a real photo as well, right?
That's
And
so
I go,
cool.
"No, yeah." So I just mean use it like that. That was the whole idea, was just play with it, play with it, play with it. Some of you guys are way beyond that, but you get into other models and stuff like that and comparing once you've put in enough time that this is just, oh yeah, what you use it all day every day, right? It's an assistant with life, it's an assistant with work, it's an assistant, those kinds of things. And then the other side of it is, if you're implementing it into your office and your business, who's pioneering that? Because it's changing so fast. This is like back in the days of Microsoft SharePoint, and you'd hire a consulting company to come in, install it, and then train. Because yeah, you could learn it by next year, or you could have the team, every, for the first week, every morning for an hour, and then, once a week for the next couple of months, go through the good, better, best training on using the tool. So if you are building out agents and stuff like that, do you have somebody and a consultant or somebody who is pioneering this, or do you want to take that on? You just freed up 11 hours of your week to put 11 more hours into being the AI implementation guru of your company. Is that what you just did? Like,
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's a thing.
Well, I go along, Dan Martell's idea of buy back your time, right?
Yeah.
And the other part of all of that is that what I like to do is in our weekly meetings with my staff, I like to listen to what they're stuck on and what, and I ask this question, what are you doing that you hate doing? Right. And most of the time it's just paperwork type stuff, or monotonous type tasks. Okay. And I like to personally create those custom GPTs. That's what we're doing currently right now, right? For my staff, of all of those tasks. And so recently, this week, along all of these lines is my project manager. She hates doing, not hates, but it's very monotonous to send out reports, right? And not just to send out a report, but actually summarize it and say, this is what, you know, we should be doing, and you're doing this good, and we're all those kinds of things, right? It takes her a long time. So I created a custom GPT for her to just put screenshots of all of the tools, all of the different data, and have it summarize it and essentially give like next steps, what we're going to be working on next and stuff like that. And then that I think is going to really free up her time. But that's where I think that the magic of this whole AI idea comes from, is taking the monotonous, taking it off of your plate, making it easier to do, just like an employee that would or does do. Okay. Once they're fully trained and they know how to do their job and all that kind of stuff. Right. And that's kind of how we're viewing a lot of the things that we're building in AI for ourselves. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
What do you
anyways,
build
just
for
thought
your
I'd throw
team?
that out
Yeah.
there.
What do you build for your team, Jen? Like you do stuff for clients, but what are you building internally that had
Yeah.
you on Claude all day yesterday?
Yeah.
Yesterday, we're actually doing a lot of content work for our own website right now,
Yep.
and so that's really what I was on yesterday, because when it comes to my own website, even though I say not to do this, I'm a total perfectionist, and I'll spend all this time with you know any LLM to write a bunch of content.
Yeah.
So that's what I was doing yesterday. But as far as the custom GPTs that I've been working on, just did a new one for actually one. My favorite one is I'm calling it the Authority Auditor, and
Okay.
it's for my team, but I'm might share it out for clients too. But basically, we put three things into the GPT. We put the name of the company, the location or the service area, and the URL, like just the website. Three things, and it in seconds gives us this audit of um, the online presence for AI, for the, the LLMs,
Hmm.
like picking up that that company, that site online for like, will it be shown in the AI results? So,
Yep.
and of course, it's a simplified report. You're not going to get a massive report with just those three things. But the interesting thing that I think with it is that's like use case number one is we just can put one, our own business in there to see, or a client or something. But you can do that with your competitor, like
Hmm.
your or multiple competitors. I mean, you're looking at three things that are public knowledge, that are, you can get really easily that way. Um, so I think that that's the interesting,
Yeah.
most interesting thing about that one. But
Couple things bounce off my head on there. There's three things that I think were for one. So I learned from a good friend of ours, Monica Hemingway. She was mentioning the last time we were all together in July that if you're recording your conversations with clients as a business, right? So you're recording the
Mhm.
front office, talking to clients, you've got those transcripts and all that kind of stuff. You are, and you should be, because this is data now. Like our world is about how do you store, manage, and use useful data. And she said, so why wouldn't you just record that? Go to your website and go into GPT, a master prompt. Maybe we'll have an episode about that, Chris, on building out the master prompt, because everybody should have one that's trained on their company that they can
Yeah.
apply or use or whatever. Anyways,
Mhm.
totally different topic. But you take this, your homepage of your website or a landing page for a sales whatever, and say, based on all of these transcripts, what are the pain points that keep coming up that that isn't that our website doesn't speak to? How would we change the content on the website to be persuasive, answer those questions, and convert better now that you know what the audience cares about, not what we care about?
I think
And
that's a
have that
brilliant idea.
conversation back and forth about your landing pages or your websites.
Mhm. Yeah.
Now, again, if you want
And
it to rank, then you have to pass it through an SEO team and all that kind of stuff.
sure.
But yeah, so that was one of it. But it's also, I think, a good segue, because one of the things we did want to talk about a little bit today was, like you're saying, you built something to say, hey, how do I show up in LLMs and search LLM? Because there's two sides of the camp. One side is, oh my God, we have to show up in ChatGPT and Perplexity and Google's AI mode. We've talked about that, and also just in Google's generative Gemini that pops up to answer questions and stuff like that. And so we do have to recognize that that's a growing trend, but stats show that it's only about 1 to 5% of the search market right now, depending on where you get your stats. And probably less for local business, because it's not as, you know, transactional of a search. Um, but we are entering a world that is getting closer and closer and closer to zero click.
Mhm.
So, um, zero click web search, whether that's on Google, whether that's on Bing and whatever your search engine is, or on an LLM or whatever. So yeah, I mean, Jen, you're finding out if you show up in these LLMs, but obviously that's important. There was a reason why, and part of it is that people are searching there for deeper answers, or at least context and stuff like that. So yeah, I was just wondering what you guys think about the future of zero click search as we get closer to sort of wanting to talk to less people until we have more context before we make the phone call, as a consuming, like the self-serve consuming environment that's constantly growing more and more and more from the days of Uber to now. How does that relate to LLMs and search engines and all of that kind of stuff?
I'll let you go first on this one, Jen. I mean, I can geek out on this stuff all day long.
I
Uh,
yeah, totally.
I'll let you get a word in here.
Well, so yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. I think that really, like, what's showing up in the LLMs, it's really all about search engine optimization anyway. Like that, where do the LLMs get their information? They get it from the internet, from, search engine optimization, from local search, things like that. And so when we're looking at, is a company visible to the LLMs? Really? It's also, how good their SEO is,
Mhm.
right now. So that's one thing. The whole like zero click, I think that yeah, I mean that's definitely a thing for more, I think more for questions.
Yeah.
I think that there's still a good number of searches that aren't question based. Um, I think that we've all moved more towards questions than
Mhm.
just regular search terms. Um, but yeah, I don't think that we're losing all of that traffic from because of zero clicks. And I also really love that you mentioned this might be like for another day, but you mentioned the people really wanting to go deep on a topic before they kind of take that step for to talk to a
Mhm.
salesperson or something like that. And I mean I know I do the same thing.
Yeah.
I really want to like learn all I can before I talk to anybody, about if I'm gonna buy something. Um,
Yeah.
I think some of that is done in the search aspect, but I think a lot of that is addressed once the like the with people on the actual website. Um,
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
my opinion there, but not that it can't
Yeah.
be at both places.
So my take on AI generated not search, right? You're searching
Yep.
within AI. Okay. So you've got a couple of different things to really consider as a small business owner. And it really depends if you're talking about if you're a nationwide type company, are you an e-commerce, do you have an e-commerce business,
Yeah.
or are you a local business like who we all work with, right? We work with local. So we're looking at it through that lens there. Okay. And that's where I want to talk about here. If you are a roofing company, you're a cleaning company, or you are local med spa, how should you be thinking about the future when it comes to search? Okay, so Google itself is changing and it's changing rapidly. Okay, so we have relied on Google for the past 20 plus years to drive leads into our businesses. Okay, Google itself is changing dramatically because it is putting more of that AI search in front of it. And guess what? Those AI searches are different. What it's presenting, the search engine result page essentially of what it's showing on AI is way different than what's in organic or even on pay per click. Okay. Way different. So if you compare like maps, the maps 3 pack and who shows up there versus who is showing up for most searches inside of AI, it's way different. Okay.
Hmm.
So there's a couple of things to consider there is, and really what it's coming down to are a couple of different things. The first one is going to be your online reputation, right?
Yeah.
How good is your reputation, right? And beyond that, then where are the mentions? Who else is talking about you, right? And it almost feeds right into the whole EEAT, um,
Uh-huh.
formula there that Google has given us for the past what 5, 6, 7 years. I don't remember exactly when they came out with the EAT thing,
Yeah.
but
About that. Mm.
it almost feeds right into that. Okay. But it is a little bit different though if you look at some of the searches and if you really start paying attention to some of those searches. Okay. So like if you do a search for, let's say, the best roofing company near me, right?
Mm.
Versus who is the best roofing company near me, right? That's going to produce way different results right now currently. And I do this search periodically just to see what Google is showing. The first part will show you organic results and pay-per-click results. Okay, so maps, local service ads,
Yeah.
or well, really coming from the top, local service ads, maps, and organic. Okay, that's typically what it's going to show you on that search. If you ask who is the best roofer near me, it comes up with the AI search now.
Yeah.
Okay, and that AI search results are different. Typically, they could have someone that's on the 20th result on maps, not in the three pack, that is being presented as the best option.
For other
Okay,
reasons. Yeah. Like
for
best
different
roofer
reasons.
near
So,
me was a
right,
keyword we all put it on pages so that Google,
right,
oh, best. Oh, these guys say
right,
best. Now it's
right.
like semantics, thoughtful. Like,
Mhm.
where do we look? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you answer that on your website? Right. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the first and foremost. Do you?
Yeah.
And that's the first thing that when I talked with clients, I'm like, okay, well, you want to be known for whatever key term. Is it anywhere on your website?
Yes.
No. Well, let's do that first. Let's
Yep.
put that there. That's kind of a no-brainer, right? Um, so anyways, it just there's a lot of thought that needs to go into it, but you really, really, really need to be thinking about your reputation. If you're listening to this as a small business owner, and meaning not just about Google reviews, right? A lot of people are focused, and
Yeah.
my clients too are focused on Google reviews. Okay, but what about Yelp? What about Facebook? What about and we all hate Yelp. We know we
Yeah.
can't stand them, but
But
their
Angie's List,
tactics,
Better Business Bureau, Chamber of
right,
Commerce, the
right,
association of roofers that has its own sort of, you know,
yeah,
shout out and bitch board
yeah,
and yeah. So
and
yeah.
right. How many people are talking about you online? Right. That's
So
really what it comes down to.
So one step, how do you figure that out? Are you monitoring your brand? Like, I mean, when I started in digital marketing, still running all my cleaning companies and speaking at the
Mhm,
Chamber of Commerce and all 2010, 11, 12. I started with, helping you on Google Maps, this new thing, and reputation and reviews and all that kind of stuff, but more reputation than reviews. I've always thought chasing Google reviews is hounding for reviews on one
mhm,
platform, whereas getting feedback and sentiment that you can share out and syndicate, get Google reviews, but also all the other places as well.
mhm,
But monitoring was a big part of what we've always offered, and it was sort of like, meh, do I really need to? Well, now, yeah, you always
yeah,
did.
you need
How
to.
what happens if you had a Foursquare listing? People, I don't even know what that is. Well, they're private now, but they used to be public, and somebody could go and I walked into again, before I was working in the cleaning niche for marketing, I was just a carpet cleaner, maid service business owner, blah blah blah, that did some digital marketing on the side because people asked me how are you doing that so well. I started speaking at the chamber. Next thing you know, I walked into a Mercedes dealership who became a client for a while and is like, yeah, well, you guys got people slamming you on Foursquare. I've never even
Mhm,
heard of what that is. Look at that. Oh my God, that's terrible. How long has that been there? 12 months. I got the
yeah,
contract like that because it's like, what do you guys do? We monitor your reputation. We'll let you know within like an hour that that's happened, and we help you build a better reputation. Nowadays,
yeah,
are you monitoring your brand all over the internet?
yeah,
Do you know how to track that? Do you know what? Because LLMs can find
mhm,
Google's generative AI answering those questions, or AI mode can find that conversation that's happening about, complaining about you on social or on another platform. Maybe it's just that one cranky customer, but are you in that conversation? Or do you even know what happens? There is a conversation happening about you, whether you are involved in it or not, is sort of the way I used to present it. So yeah, I think that's huge. Just make sure you're actually monitoring
yeah,
your brand mentions and stuff
yeah,
like that. So yeah.
You guys
and make it a
are
priority.
are
Yeah.
talking about exactly what my authority auditor chat GPT or custom GPT is all about. So I'm just going to use this podcast for a sales video now.
There you go. And you talked about authority as well. So your brand and personal authority. One thing I've noticed as well is when people ask deeper questions, it's less likely that a brand comes out. I got some clients that'll say, John, I don't want you to promote me at all. I don't want my face on anything. I just want to hide behind sort of an entity of a company. And I'm going, God, I wish it was that easy. Even if you're a franchise or
Yeah,
whatever, you're the owner of the local thing. Your person in the marketplace is not only what people hire, they don't want to know
mhm,
that it's this faceless sort of blob, but it's also that you have some sort of authority. Well, it's now like Google and LLMs tend to say, well, you know, Josh Nelson of Seven Figure Agency or Chris Hunter of, Riverside, blah, blah, stated this, right? And it's about what you, so your, the EAT again, EAT,
Mhm.
Google, it's about your personal authority and your brand authority. Are you, are you creating content? So there's little nuances and geeky stuff. Like when you write
Yeah.
blog posts now, you should have a pillar content and separating other content and maybe take the too long didn't read the summary section at the top because the LLMs can attach that and answer the question, and you've got the rest of the content for the traditional SEO and really good user experience and stuff like that. But is it authored by you? Going to an
Mhm.
author page, and does that author page connect to your LinkedIn
Yep.
and your personal Facebook and
Yeah.
your business and your associations and all that kind of stuff? And on your website, does your company have like the Chamber of Commerce listing, and so you're tying this all together, not only just for the consumer but the LLMs.
Mhm.
It's always been good for EAT. It's way more important now that your authority and your ability to answer those questions. So one of the easiest ways to do that, I know somebody who, they basically hire a videographer for 2 or 3 hours once every quarter. They get a series of questions that have been asked on the internet. So answer the public or Google suggests. There's a billion ways you can get these questions, and just sit down for 2 or 3 hours with a videographer until you kind of get 2 or 3 hours. You're going to be tired after about 12 questions, and that's one a week for the next 90 days.
Yeah.
And but that your answer turns into blog posts, turns into audio snippets, turns into video on your website, turns into social media content. You did it once, done well with a marketing provider like any of us. You have now created content that
Mhm.
the LLMs just eat up. They love. And
Yeah.
you became an authority and you attached it all together. And again, so there's a lot there. That was just a lot of geeky stuff, but it is the thought that you have to be a content creator in 2025 and beyond, not just for marketing purposes, but for AI purposes too.
Well, and really, you can use AI to do that nowadays,
You
right? I
can.
mean, there's HeyGen, there's all sorts of different
Yeah.
tools that can create those videos if you want the videos, right?
Yep.
To do that, I mean, create an avatar of yourself and have it do it for
Present it.
you. Just
Do a
feed it the
voiceover. You
text
don't
and
have to
it'll
show
do
your
it.
face.
Right.
Have B-roll, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's definitely tools for that. All right, so
Yeah.
we're getting to the end of our time
Yeah.
here, but if you could give one nugget when it comes to AI search, right? AI answer search. I don't know. We
Yeah.
don't have this kind of
No
nailed
name.
down
Yeah.
yet in the industry on
Search
what we're going to
everywhere
call it, right?
optimization, SEO,
Whatever
but
LLM search, whatever you want to call it, right? Answer
yeah.
search. If you had one golden nugget to give in under 1 minute, what would it be, Jen?
Uh, FAQ questions on your website, but not basic questions, like more complex questions that will answer more questions that people are typing into Google or wherever.
Awesome. John, can you do it in under a minute?
Yeah, I'll try my very best. So mine is build your content around the big five, right? So cost, problems or objections people have to your stuff, comparisons, reviews, and we talked about it best. So those are the big five that move every buying decision. Marcus Sheridan 101. So go back to him if you wonder where that came from. But you should have content, like back to Jen, FAQs, but content and content and content and content that speaks to everything related to those big five in every iteration of question that possibly could come in.
All right, so here's mine. All right. And if you want to get found on search, do the same thing that I did 20 plus years ago. Reverse engineer it, right? Go look who is ranking right now, figure out why they are ranking. If you don't know how to do that, then ask ChatGPT or even Gemini or any of the tools out there. They will tell you exactly why that company is ranking above you inside of wherever. Doesn't matter what we're talking about. And just do that and
Do that.
just be better, right? Just be better. It's king of the hill. All search always has been and always will be king of the hill, meaning that you have to outdo everybody that is above you. That's it. Easy peasy. Just do that.
Very good. I'm
All right.
glad we ended with you because that is just the simple and
Done.
practical.
Done.
That's a wrap.
All right.
Yeah, well
That's
done.
it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for the. Oh, shoot. I'm not the host. You're the host. You do this.
Yeah. Well, that's a wrap for this week's AI marketing experts podcast. I hope you guys had fun. Definitely share, like, subscribe, comment wherever you're seeing this. We keep an eye on them. Our team keeps an eye on them, stuff like that. If there's anything you'd like to see in future shows, let us know. And yeah, just chime in on anywhere you see this if you find value in this. And we're just tickled pink to be in your ear or in your face when you're following us. So thanks so much.